Hi there. Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you all here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. And it always amazes me how I get everything set perfectly, and then I look when I'm doing the first video and my hat's crooked. I don't get it. Anyways, we're here for the first episode of the week, which we do every week, Sundays. I try to get it out between noon and 2. I think it should be fine today. Started a little bit early. I got a lot of the stuff done yesterday, which is, usually I'm waiting till the last minute for a couple of things to come through. But today it was pretty good. It's all up and ready to go. So basically what this episode is about is an episode in which we talk about the channel, the contents of the channel for the week coming forward. I also talk about the series, not just the regular shows, but the series that we are doing for the month. I may talk about some future things that I'm going to do, and I will be doing a little bit of that today. And I also talk about any kind of stuff that happened in the past that maybe people were a little confused about, so I bring it up. So today I did make one change last week. I moved that episode of What's New, which was running on Thursdays for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but it wasn't working out because I wasn't getting home till late. I wasn't have time to listen to the album and eat and do everything I want, so it's coming out too late. So I decided to switch it back, and I moved it back to the Saturday night, which means that I had to do something with ranking the songs off an album, which logically meant that it would go on to the Thursday night. So that was the only real change. A couple episodes were late. It's always work that causes these things to happen. I was thinking about maybe putting the episodes till 9 o'clock instead, but, then it's just giving you another hour to do nothing as well. So you got to have a little pressure on you, otherwise it won't work, right? So anyways, those are the big changes from last week. And now we're going to move on to the channel contents for the week shows and for the series, and I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the upcoming series for next month and the upcoming mini series that I will do. Now, I was planning on doing that in October, but time constraints and the lack of getting the proper things in place has slowed that down. So I'm hoping that I will be able to get that done for the end of the month. And that series hopefully will come out early in November. So anyways, I didn't need to put the glasses on so I can actually see what I wrote. So the first episode of the week, of course, is this one, this week, which is for the week of October the 12th through, October the 12th. I wrote August, I don't know why. October the 12th through to October the 18th. This is episode number 166. So we've been doing this for over 3 years. Anyways, that's the first episode, which will come out probably around noon, hopefully. So around noon today. And then the second episode of the week will be Into the Progverse. Now, I did upload the information for the episode yesterday. I should have done it earlier in the week, but just time constraints again. But it's up there now, so if you want to go look and see what it is we're doing, I will tell you a little bit too. So we're going to be talking about these two albums, Close to the Edge and Genesis' Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Which one of these is the better album, or which one of these is more representative of Prog, or if you want, which one is the more popular, all these different things that make these two albums great. Many consider these to be the magnus opus of each of these two groups, and these two groups are often tied together, as we know. So that will be the topic for tonight's Into the Progverse, which will come out at 8 o'clock. The next episode up is Look Back at a Classic Rock Album, which comes out Monday night. And to this week, I'm going to feature the final I'll call it the final Lee Roth Van Halen album that I have not done, which is 1984. I think the reason I haven't done this one is because I never owned it till recently, like in the last couple of years, although I'm quite familiar with all the tracks on here, and they shot of them all here on the back too. So 1984 will be the album. A couple of big giant hits for them on this. A couple of songs maybe fairly well known, but not necessarily big hits. So we'll be talking about this album on Look Back at a Classic Rock Album. That will come out Monday at 8 o'clock. Next up is the mini-series that we have started last week, and we'll be going through episode 2. This will be 2 of 6. We're going to do 6 in total. Talk this over with Ben. We're going to be doing the top 15 deep cuts from each of these bands that we're doing. Last week we did Deep Purple, so if you want, you can go back and watch that episode. This week we'll be featuring Fleetwood Mac's Deep Cuts. Now, this is a band that I know a little bit about their later stuff. I have several of their later albums that most people own. But I've only recently, maybe in the last 6 months, started to explore their earlier material from the earlier 70s with the Bob Welch era and the Peter Green eras. So hopefully this will prompt me to do even more. And so we're going to be doing the 15 deep cuts in my ranking of them for Fleetwood Mac for Deep Cuts episode 2 this week, which will come out Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Next up is Favorites. This is Wednesday. I'm going to do another episode. I did one a few weeks ago called 5 Albums That Are Immortal. So there's just so many of them that could qualify here. So I'm going to do at least a second episode of this. So we're going to do 5 more albums that are immortal. I hope people are going to enjoy this episode as much as they did. The first one did very well. I'm thinking this one will do probably just as well. When I was doing it, I had about 20 albums, and I narrowed it down to 5. And not because the 5 I think were better than any of the other 15. I just didn't want to use the same albums all the time, so I picked the 5 I picked. But there's easily 5 more, easily another 20 or 30 anyways. So we're going to do another 5 more albums that are immortal. That will be Favorites episode, which will come out Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the evening. Sorry, 8 p.m. I should say. Next up is Ranking the Songs Off an Album. This is an album it's long been my favorite by this band. I love this album. I still play it quite a bit, actually. Surprisingly, considering I've had this album now for over 30 years. Still play it quite a bit. So ranking the songs off an album, I've chosen the Cheap Trick's Heaven Tonight album. I think this is probably my favorite Cheap Trick album. There's a couple of others that might kind of challenge it a bit, but I think this is the one. So this will come out Thursday at 8 o'clock. I will be talking about I will be ranking all the songs, all 10 of them on this album in accordance with how I like them. Next up is Friday, Who Did It Better? The last one that's currently out now is doing very well. A lot of people tend to like this show. They like to hear 2 different versions and who likes what. I find a tendency for most people is to lean towards the original. That's the one they tend to like. On occasion, you might get one where the cover is actually better than the original, but I have not seen that yet, actually. Everybody tends to lean towards the original. I am a little bit different. I tend to lean toward the one that I've heard the most, which is the original to me, but not necessarily the original, if that makes any sense. Anyways, we're doing the song Evil Woman, done by Spooky Tooth and Master's Apprentice. I'm really curious to see how people view this. This one's going to be very curious because I love Master's Apprentice. Don't know much about Spooky Tooth. I assume that they're the original band to do Evil Woman, but I don't know. I haven't investigated it yet, so I guess we'll find out. So that's Who Did It Better, Friday at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., sorry. Then we move on to the Saturday shows. This week we have 3 on Saturday, so we'll have the playlist, which I do every month, once usually the middle week. There's an extra week this month in October, so we're doing it this week, which will be my playlist. So basically what this show is about is I talk about my playlist that I have going. I talk about a little bit about the 5 albums, or in this case there is 5 that came off the list and 5 new ones that went on. I give you a top 5, my top 5 favorite. We talk a little bit also about what I've been listening to over the last month since then, and what yeah, what have been my listening habits over the last month. And that show will come out on noon on Saturday afternoon. Next up is one that I do every year. I do this, usually it's a little bit earlier than this. I think last year's was in September. This one's going to be towards the end, middle of October. So my new masterpiece albums that I want to add to my collection for 2025. I've got 18 nominations on my masterpiece list. I've kind of narrowed it down to about 8 of those albums. So there's 10 of them I think, they've got some consideration, but I just don't think they're quite good enough to make it to the masterpiece, at least not at this point in time. And then I had 8 that I was thinking would. So 5 of them for sure are going to make the list. And then I have to look at the other 3 and decide whether they warrant it as well. So that's what we'll be doing for the new masterpiece albums to be added to the collection for 2025. That will come out at 4 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. And then the last episode of the week is again now going to be What's New. What's New is going to end off the week. And I've chosen the album or the band Paradise Lost and the album Ascension. There was 2 albums. It was basically 2 very similar metal bands. Actually released the albums both on the same day, but I decided on this one over the other one. I like them both. Maybe I'll do the other one next week, but this week I'm doing this one. Paradise Lost, Ascension is the album that we're going to be doing for What's New. That will come out Saturday at 8. So that's it for the channel shows for the week. We also have the series that we're running for the month of October, which is 31 albums that have a kind of scary or monster theme to them. This is basically for Halloween, the Halloween month. It was a request, so I decided I would honor the request and do this series. Some of these albums maybe not so scary looking, but definitely some neat covers for monsters and stuff like that. So that's why I kind of did it this way. So we've got 7 more this week. Hopefully you'll enjoy them. We had 1 this morning. If you want to see what it was, you can go back and watch it this morning. And the new series that we will run for November, which is still several weeks off, is going to be my 30 favorite rock lyricists. So I've had this one on my mind for a while. I have done episodes with rock lyricists in the past, but this time I want to do a whole monthly series on them of my favorite bands with the great lyrics. So we'll be doing that for the month of November, and I'll probably do it the way I normally do it. I won't have more than actually we won't have more than 1 lyricist per lyricist, right? That makes sense. Stupid way to put it, right? But so anyways, we'll be doing that for the month of November. I've pretty much decided on that. I have another mini series that I've been trying to put together. I've been putting this together now since probably September of 2023. Yeah, so towards it's been a couple of years, and I've got most of the information I want down, but getting the albums that I want to cover it as props, I haven't been able to get. I'm hoping to get them by the end of this month because I want to start this series because there's 6. This is the beginning of 6 series in a row, and so we're going to start with this one from the 60s first. Actually, this is from the 1950s. I apologize. And we'll be doing that hopefully starting at the end of the month. So that's it for the channel for this week. The series, the monthly series, the future series, the mini series, all the series that we're going to be doing. I hope to see you throughout the week for whatever appeals to you. And so I ask you to please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to leave any comments in the comment section, you can do that in the bottom part of it. And we will see you all throughout the week. Take care. Have yourself a good night, a good day, a good afternoon, and good night here from the Prog Monster.